Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of One Piece. How y'all doing today? Last time, we got a lot of fights, and Sanji got knocked into a flashback, and we're still in the middle of the flashback. So, yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see. Very interesting to see how this plays out. Given that I had seen the live action, it's playing out very differently, and it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I'm loving the freshness I'm experiencing here. So let's not waste too much time. Let's not waste time and get with the reading. Let's get reading. Let's get reading. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's get reading. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, Chapter 58, The Crap Geezer. Returning to Sanji's flashback, as he laid unconscious on the deck of the Baratier. There he remembered his young self sitting on top of the great plateau in the middle of the ocean, staring out at the bird flying sky, all nice and blue, and the waves as calm as ever, despite the sound of the crash. He reminisced and remembered in another flashback of what um, oh my gosh, that's funny. Of what Zap told him days earlier after they had survived their crash. That's our situation. We can't waste our strength fighting each other.
Crap geezer! If I do see a ship, I'm not going to tell him.
Sanji said as he stared out at the ocean.
He can die. I'll survive on my own.
He was covered in sweat, with his teeth gritting in anger. He wiped the sweat off his brow, ignoring the giant bag that was given to him.
I can see a long way out to the ocean. If I watch for 4 or 5 days, I'm bound to see a ship. And there's no sign that orbit sank, so it could still come and rescue me. Thinking it over well.
Sanji said as he spread out the food and organized them very carefully.
I do have a whole 5 days worth of food, but this is a matter of life and death, so I'll divide it into 20 portions just to be safe. That means less than 1 meal a day, but the depressions on the rock are full of rainwater, so I'll make it if I don't get disease. If I stay alive for 20 days, a ship's gotta come.
He said with a big smile on his face. With a big smile on his face. Excuse me.
I'm sure to be rescued, no sweat.
And unbeknownst to him, days went by. Weeks went by. Months went by. Time has went by. As the birds just continued to flap around above him, laughing with their scree, poking fun at him. And there he was, just munching on one little bite at a time. He pulled his face out of the water, wiped off, and stared off at the bag.
Maybe I'll just leave a little more. Go.
And then he immediately dunked his head back in the water and drank, unsure if if the distilled water contained bacteria that can make his stomach churn and crap diarrhea.
No, I divided the food into 20 daily portions. This is only the first day.
His stomach rumbled in the most horrifying of manners.
Stop rumbling, darn it, stop.
He started punching his chest so much that he started feeling pain.
Oh, why did I hurt my chest so much?
More time passed. He sat at the edge, staring out at the ocean, wondering where the ship is. Silence is all he heard, and the laughter of the birds pointing at him for being stuck in the predicament.
No shifts today.
He thought to himself.
I just gotta hang on 2 more 3 days.
Day 5. Rain poured into the puddle where he was drinking from. It was very hard. It was very rough. And there was the sound of thunder and lightning.
This rain's gonna make it hard to see a ship.
And his eyes opened wide.
A ship! Hey, help!
He screamed out as he waved his arms wildly.
Fire! Gotta light the fire to signal in.
He continued on, cracking the flints together.
Darn, the wood's too wet to burn. I forgot my school lesson. That water takes out fire.
And he watched the ship turn, heading further out into the sea.
Wait, don't go. I'm here. Wait, please, don't go. Help me.
But the sound of thunder continued to drown out his voice with the sound of vroom and frosh and ksh.
Hey.
He said with the loudest of voice at the top of his lungs, and continued hearing nothing but splishing and splashing and rumbling and crashing, and it just kept on drowning out his whole voice completely with the sound of dot dot dots dot dot dots. And suddenly he collapsed onto his knees, buried his face into his chest, and screamed out,
Darn it.
and the thunder and the rain laughed at him with its rumbling sound and ksh. Day 25. Day 25. Sanji looked dehydrated. His face collapsing into itself, looking more and more like Michael Jackson every day after plastic surgery. He stared at the piece of bread. It was covered in mold, the fungus staring right back at him, laughing and pointing at his starvation.
My last piece of bread, mostly mold.
To which the mold replied, dot 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 dot. Sanji pulled up started messing around with the blanket, and then he took a bite of the molded bread, to which it said dot dot dot. He thought to himself,
Sigh, what a waste.
His starvation sent him into a flashback where he remembered the chefs eating off of other people's food. They left so much food. Yeah, it tastes great. To which young Sanji replied,
Cut that out. You're eating off dirty plates like dogs. I just threw out some fruit that looks bad. I'm starving. My voice.
To which the chef replied, how about it? Want some?
No thanks.
And as he continued biting into the molded sponge that was once bread, he started shedding tears.
Ha ha, whoa.
The watery waves started crashing harder and harder.
No.
The sound of screes and crush as his bread fell over and into the ocean.
My last piece of mold. I'm starving. I could have made penicillin out of that. Please come back, bread. Bread.
To which the bread replied, dot 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 dot. And he looked out at the water below, wishing he could dive in to catch that molded bread. Day 30.
It'll come soon now.
Insanity started racking his brain as he starved slowly. Day 50, with the rain falling down, his little makeshift bunk collapsed. Day 70, drinking the water, unaware of what bacteria could be in there. He crawled over to the edge and sat down. Where I can make a lot of interesting descriptions, but it will probably cause much controversy. So we're moving on to the next panel. Where he stared out at the calm sea and the birds continued to laugh and point at him. He only wished that he could catch one of those birds and cook them.
Crap geezer. Probably dead.
I'm a grown man. Sanji remembered him saying in his flashback, I got a much bigger stomach than you. Sanji decided to climb over the ridge and see what's going on with the old man. At the peak, he saw the old man down below. Saf just sitting there staring out at everything.
He's still alive. And look at all the food he's got. So much food.
Sanji pulled out a knife. It was bundled and wrapped. He saw the big giant bag right behind him.
This all that crap geezer's fault anyway. I'll get that food if I have to kill him. I want to live. I heard humans taste good, nice and tender.
And Sanji stood behind him, staring out at the bag. What do you want, Eggplant Head? You see a ship? He said, as the bundled bag was in absolute shock of Sanji's appearance. Sanji raised his knife up and told Delirium stared down at Zaf.
I came for your food. Kill me if you think you can. I'm dead anyway if I don't eat soup.
Zaf merely ignored him. He did nothing. He didn't even budge or run. And Sanji stabbed at the bag. And the bag screamed,
Oh, why you stabbed me? All this just for you. What?
And the sound of clanking and clunking made Zaf lower his head in shame. And Sanji sat there on his knees in total silence. Do you see a ship? I said no contact. Sanji started lifting up jewels and cups and necklaces.
Why? It's all treasure.
A fortune in gold. And nothing to eat. Funny, huh? Yeah. That's a laugh riot, kid.
Huh? The whole bag. It's all treasure.
And suddenly Sanji crawled over to Zaf, grabbed him by the cloak, and started shaking him.
What about the food? How have you survived? You said you needed more food. Ah!
And he completely crawled backwards as he saw the missing leg on that once was attached to Zaf.
What happened? Your foot.
He stared at the tattered rags where a foot once was.
Your own foot. You hate it.
He said with tears welling up in his eyes. That's right, kid. Zaf spoke with such an exhausted voice, drained of all life, unable to do anything else.
The food. You gave it all to me.
He started shedding tears.
Thinking it over, I do have 5 full days worth of food.
He remembered smiling as he stared out at the food. Yeah, Zaf said, without moving a budge.
But without your food, you can't be a pirate anymore.
Reckon not, kid. Want a taste? I still got some left over. I think they're all jerky now.
But what you did that for me? I was gonna kill you.
You should have, kid. I still got some nutrients in me. You'd survive better.
Never. I never gave you a reason to be kind to me. So why? Why?
Because you had the same dream as me, kid. Getting to taste all kinds of food.
What? All blue? But your men said there's no such thing.
Oh, it exists. When the time comes, head for the Grand Line. We couldn't find it for years. The voyage. Oh yeah, what a voyage. What was I saying? Oh yeah. What I saw there made me believe in the all blue. But now, I've lost the crew. I've lost the victims. I lost my foot. I would sail there with. I don't feel like being a pirate without them. In fact, I think piracy is an overrated thing. And seeing you, kid, looking like me, like a pair of Michael Jacksons after plastic surgery, I think I've hit the realization. They didn't believe in the all blue, but they were good-hearted fools. They were a bunch of...
Hey, geezer.
Zaf collapsed on the ground. He laid there, huffing and puffing, staring up at the sky.
Don't die.
Sanji said.
You can't die, not after what you did.
Zaf, with what remains of his breath, gave off more lines. The ocean is vast and brutal. The vastness of this ocean. People die cursing it. How many people has that swallowed? In all my years as a pirate, I've been in a lot of tough spots where there was nothing to eat. Have you ever had baby back ribs? Oh man, where that came from, you don't want to know. Every time I thought, if only there was a restaurant right smack in the middle of the ocean.
A restaurant?
Yeah, that's right, kid. If I get off this rock alive, I'm gonna build it if it's the last thing I ever do. I'm gonna make an Applebee's. A floating Applebee's. You ever wonder what that was like? To have a floating Applebee's? Them breadsticks, man. Much better than Olive Garden. And in this age of pirate, you need an Applebee's. I may be the only man who could run a grub shop like that.
Okay, I'll help you. Just don't you die.
Oh, you're left right, kid. It'll be too hard for a puny eggplant head.
I'll become strong.
And on day 85, a boat had arrived, and it docked alongside the Great Plateau. And the crew screamed out, "Hey, on that rock, it's people!" Sure, dumb, just lying there. They're still breathing. About 3 months ago, I heard someone shouting around here one stormy day. What? Is that true? Why didn't you say something, you moron? We could have saved them sooner. I'm sorry, you're fired. Well, you gotta consider that was a storm and that this plateau would have bashed us in. Still, you could have said something and we could have circled back later. After the storm. I'm sorry. And we arrive in the present, where Sanji sat on his knees, punching his fist into the deck. You ate your own food, leaving all the food for me. You saved my life. Oh. Sanji did. Zaf closed his eyes and lowered his head further as Gin continued listening on. Pearl, listening on, spoke. My surprise! How did he survive a direct hit? Oh, he's on his feet. I won't let you have this restaurant. And I won't let you kill the crab either. That fool sacrificed himself to save a worthless boy, so I'll defend him with my life and pay my debt to the crab geezer. To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, Chapter 59, Sanji's Debt. Sanji, recovering from the bruises he took, stood tall amongst the flames lit along the dock of the Baratier. He had finished his flashback, recovered completely, and stared down Pearl, making his declaration that he was repaying a debt. Ooh, the crowd said. As Zav screamed out, "We're paying a debt." His eyes slowly turned at Sanji, looking up at the young chef, staring down his opponent. "Sanji, I don't want any favors. I'm not so pathetic that I need a baby eggplant to protect me. I prefer a carrot." Who did whom the favor?" Sanji said as he straightened out his tie, despite the blood pouring down his face. "If you hadn't eaten your own food, for my sake, you'd never have lost to these fools." Meanwhile, all the chefs stood in sadness. Sanji looked shaky. Chef ate his food, so Sanji wouldn't starve. So that's why he's so protective of this grub joint. Patty was in disbelief at what happened. "You're paying Chef back?" "Well, who'd have thunk that those two, who like those cats and dogs, had such a bond?" The head chef said. Luffy merely listened on in silence. Gin, however, had a whole different thing to say as his sweat poured down his cheeks. Why? Why did you get up, Sanji?" "So you want more Pearl surprises?" Pearl said with his arms stretched down and his face filled with joy and laughter. "You can't possibly win, you know." Sanji stared on, wishing he had a cigarette in hand. He continued listening to Pearl's taunts. "In this world, it's winner take all. Losers get nothing, and whatever the prize, the winner crushes the competition." And he looked back at Don Krieg. "Am I wrong?" And Don Krieg replied, "Well, that's true. You got to make your offer and make sure they don't refuse." "Right, Gin." Pearl looked back at the young crewmate. He said nothing. "I don't even need to ask." He started flapping his hands like a fan. "You're the clear leader in ruthlessness. We're gonna crush you and there's nothing you could do about it. So why are you standing up? You're just wasting your strength." Sanji didn't reply back for a second. He thought it over with a bunch of dots. Then he replied, "So that for one moment longer, this place can remain a restaurant." That caught Luffy's attention, and Patty screamed out, "Does that guy wanna die?" "That crab punk," Zap said. Gin remained silent, unsure of what, shocked of what he was listening. But Pearl merely lifted his head back and laughed, pointing his pearled shield at Sanji. "Ha! Your words are slicker than polished silver, but it's closing time for this dive. Now on this is a pirate ship. Double check, Paul." And Sanji glared as Pearl. What's Pearl doing? Oh my gosh, Pearl's doing some weird things here. But he screamed out, "Surprise!" And Sanji was struck across the face, more blood splurting out. He started tumbling across the deck and crashed into the barricade. Woohoo! All Yuffie could do was just grit his teeth. The pirate crew, the chef crew screamed out, "Sanji, how hot the flames! His fire's getting bigger again." The flames completely stretched further up into the sky, still being held up by the by Pearl's control. "This time it'll reach the restaurant for sure," the chef said. Pearl's crewmates screamed out, "Pearl, put your fire out. We're gonna be boiled and turned into boiled shrimp. And what good's a burnt ship? Yeah, it's too hot. We need this ship." Luffy was quiet. He stood not too far from Pearl, just staring at it, his fist curled up, while the Sanji continued coughing up blood. trying to gather his strength to stand up. Pearl stretched out his arms again and laughed. You could do something about this if you don't mind the old men dying, that is. Sanji wiped the blood off his face. He stared over at Gin, keeping Zaf hostage. And Luffy just gritted his teeth and growled. Dude. Yeah. He stretched his leg high up into the sky. Sanji screamed out, "Stop it, fool! Don't interfere!" With his arm stretched out, Pearl turned into Luffy's direction and saw what was happening. The pirate crew screamed out, "What's he thinking, that kid?" Hey, welcome over on the kick side. Yeah, this manga's at chapter 1100, and I'm on my quest to get there. welcome to the show. As he notes, to which Luffy screamed out, "Gum gum, battle axe!" And his whole entire leg flicked down. With a thundering crash, the entire deck shattered to pieces. Pearl took a direct strike. Everyone in the water got pushed back as debris fell all over the place. Whoa! The pirate crew screamed out, and Luffy let out muscles bulged and his veins popped out. The fin! He shattered it! Now everybody was separated. Yes, indeed. It is my intent. You're welcome to join me on the journey. Thank you for the good luck. Finn, he shattered it! The crew screamed out. That kid's up to something! Gin, blow a hole in Sam's head! They screamed out as they all floated away from the Baradier. And Gin hesitated. But, hey dude. Luffy looked over at Gin's direction and said, "I never touched you guys. All I did was bust the fin." "Sure, boy!" Sanji screamed out. "What were you thinking?" To which Luffy replied, "I'm gonna sink this ship, dude." "What?" And the chef screamed out, "What? What did he just say? Sink the ship? Why?" As everyone struggled to climb out of the water and onto the floating wood, Patty screamed out, "That's not funny!" The chef screamed in pure anger. The pirates also shared their anger. "That ship's ours! Don't joke about that!" And Don Creek screamed out, "Gin, quick stall in and kill Zeph. Send him to the fishes." Sanji immediately gripped Luffy by the shoulder. "Are you crazy, you crap kid? Don't you realize why I've slaved away all this time on the ship?" To which Luffy replied, "But dude, if I sink it, they've got no prize." And Gin hesitated. Zaf closed his eyes and smiled. "My enormous dead, not the way I feel about this ship. You could never understand." And Luffy immediately pushed the arm off his shoulder. "So you're gonna die for the ship, dude? That's dumb. That's not righteous at all." "What?" And Luffy quickly grabbed Sanji by the collar and leaned right into his face. "Dude, getting killed is no way to repay your debt. It's no righteousness behind it. You gotta understand the ways of the righteousness. You're gonna repay your debt. You gotta live. He didn't save your life, dude." As Luffy remembered what Shanks did for him and losing his arm to save him. "So you could throw it away? Nah, dude. Only a coward would do that." That's non-righteous. Cowardice is no righteousness behind it. You see, you gotta like understand the winds, dude. The waves will always be with you. Well then, how else can I stop them from taking said shit? Sanji replied, clutching Luffy's collar and started shaking him as well. Meanwhile, Pearl screamed out at both of them. Now stop squabbling, you two. It was misfortune to meet up with Don Krieg's pirates. There's nothing you can do now. Not when we've got our hostage. Pearl pointed out as Gin continues to keep Zeph pinned down. Now burn and die with this pearl fire. He charged at the two of them with flames over his shielded hands and ready to smash them together. And that's when Zeph saw it. A gun dropped right before him. And before Pearl knew it, what? Here comes Gin sliding in with a back fist. He hit him with a pair of tonfas and shattered the shield into pieces. Gin! Gin! I'm sorry, Parrot, Gin said as he stood in the most awesome JoJo pose imaginable. Step aside. What? Why, Gin? Gin! Why did you hit Pearl? The crew screamed out. Gin, you swine, Don Krieg said. How dare you betray me? I treated you like a son. You were like a son to me. Now you have to die and sleep with the fidgets. I'm sorry, Don Krieg, said Gin as he looked in a completely different direction. But after all, we both owe Sanji our lives, he said, and he looked up and stared at his pirate captain. I'll send him to the grave with my own hands. Huh? Sanji said. Patty, shocked as he checked on Zaf, screamed out, "That guy shattered Invincible Pearl's cannonball-proof shield." So he's not just a flunky, the head chef said. And with a big smile on his face, Luffy crossed his arm. Phew, dude. See, it all worked out. Don't lie! Sanji looked back with sheer anger. You really were going to sink the ship! And Don Krieg, unimpressed with what the turn of events had happened, said, Have you lost your mind, Gin? Battle commander of the Pirate Armada? You disappoint me. You disappoint my son. No, I must kill you. To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, Chapter 60, Resolution. With the ship fin completely demolished, and everyone just standing around gawking at each other, they continued on talking, despite the fact that Don Krieg has yet to make his move and still can't decide if he could move or make a move whatsoever, even though he should make the move since he has all the arsenal and weaponry attached to his whole entire body and can complete and totally plug everyone full of holes, but chooses not to and allow everyone a free move to hold a very long-winded conversation for the next couple of panels. Sanji, Gin said, I hope you get off the ship without hurting anyone. Without getting hurt, but I guess that's not going to happen. No, I'm afraid not. Then the best I can offer you is to kill you myself. Oh, Sanji said as he lit his cigarette, just surprisingly dry. Thank you. Eat worms. You too, Straw Hat, Gin said, staring at Luffy. You should have left with your mates. Huh, dude? How come? Can't lose to a bunch of whips like you. You're all a bunch of pushovers. And you're not righteous. Gin went silent. The crew was like, Urgh! As they appeared to struggle with their constipated bodies, even though they have yet to fully eaten more food. These blokes are getting sassy mouthed with our battle commander. First it's eat worms, now it's worms. The crew screamed out to the sound of woo. We're Krieg's pirates, the toughest marauders in the East Blue. To which Luffy replies, you're not tough. There's just so many of you. And the whole entire pirate crew flopped over in shock at the snapback. And all they could do was just sit there in the water, twitching in embarrassment. You hit them where it hurts, Sanji said with a puff of his cigarette. You're awesome! Well, dude, it's 'cause it's true. When you have numbers, you just think you're strong, but you go one-on-one with them, yeah, they're pushovers. The chef's crew immediately screamed out, Stupid chore boy, did you have to make them matter? It's Don Krieg's crew, kid. Their strength's no joke. Ugh! Patty screamed out as Zeph let out a nice little chuckle. I like that kid already. And the pirate crew, in pure rage, pulled out their swords in the water with a shark behind them. And started making their way back up to the what remained of the deck. We're gonna massacre these crooks now, kill them to death. Stand down, Don Krieg said. But Don Krieg, the crew looked back with tears in their eyes and with their bruised egos. These guys getting worked up over these so-called being called wimps only shows that you acknowledge your weakness. I thought I taught you all better. You should be smarter than this. These kids these days, they don't listen. They never listen. The outcome will tell us who's strong and who's weak. Don Krieg's here, so you could quit screaming. I'll take over the job. Don't worry. I will make sure that the offer they refused will be taken. Aye, Captain, you're Don Krieg. What authority? Patty said in pure shock. The head chef said, he's not the boss of a 50-ship fleet for nothing. Boy, Don Krieg said, of the two of us, who do you think is king of the pirates material? He said to Luffy, to which he replied, me, dude, because I'm righteous. You can't help yourself, Sanji said. Oh, sorry. Sanji lowered his head in silence as Patty screamed out, "Can't help yourself, huh? What, dude?" Don Krieg leaned his face in his fist, forgetting that he has enough armaments to blow everyone out of the water and chooses not to do it. "You dogs stay out of this," he said as he took a grip of his armor. The crew screamed out, "He's not going to!" And he immediately aimed it at his shield. "I'll show that trim of a kid what strength really is." What? It's the MH5! Oh my gosh! Not the Mother Humper 5! The police creak. Not the Humper 5. Dude, what is it? Mother Humper 5? If it's a cannonball, dude, I'll just bounce it right back. I mean, I'm full of rubber. Righteous rubber. But rubber nonetheless, dude. Ooh, that was a big word. Yeah. Please, Don Krieg, Gin said, looking at the captain. Let me kill the kid. It doesn't matter whose hand kills him, Don Krieg said. You know that above all I detest sentimental tripe like honor and mercy. This is war. It's a business, but still a war. All that matters is victory. My victory. My dune. My sea. Winning is everything, even if it means... And the shield opened up a giant hole from its mouth, using the poison gas cannonball. But poison gas! Don Krieg! That Sanji and Gin screamed out. One whiff of this noxious poison, you'll turn to mush. You'll be like a sea anemone. A sea cucumber. This is true strength. And he fired his cannonball. Everybody, Saf was unimpressed as Patty and the head chef were shocked. The crew immediately put their masks on. Danger, deep dive, and the chef crew went under the water quickly. The cannonball careened right at its target. It's coming! And Luffy, with a big smile on his face, screamed out, "No big deal, dude. I'll just knock it into the water." "Stop, you fool!" Sanji screamed out with his arm reached out as Luffy ran towards the careening object. And he immediately jumped in the air and started swinging his body around. "Poison gas, so what, dude?" "Huh, you'll have no idea." Gin was shocked. "Wrong?" And screamed out, "Wrong." And suddenly, there was a loud sound. It broke the thing apart, and shurikens flew past Luffy, some of them piercing his legs. Sanji jumped out of the way as the shurikens landed onto the deck. As for Gin, he twirled his tonfas to deflect some of them, and just casually stepped aside as Luffy slowly fell to the ground. The pirate crew screamed out, "What the shuriken?" "Yee!" Dude," Luffy said as he landed on the floor and clutched his shoulder in pain. "That hurt, dude." "A shuriken bomb! There was a trick!" The Don Creek's crew screamed out in surprise. "Hey, dude, that wasn't poison gas." "You're a little slow!" Sanji screamed out as Luffy continued to nurse his wound. "You don't use something as valuable as the poison gas cannonball for this. I could annihilate an entire village with one of those. Such a waste of time. You think I'd race it on two pieces of trash like you? I'd have to send you to the fishes first before wasting such precious material." Luffy stood up on his feet, crossed his arms, and said, "I see, dude. That's 1 point for you. I like that." Why is he taking it so calmly?" the head chef said as everyone stared at Luffy with a sweat drop pouring down the back of their heads. "This is war, Sonny. Do you not understand? I have many ways of killing you. Now I ask you again, which one of us is the king of the pirates?" "Dude, me. You don't have what it takes, dude. You have no ambition. You don't even have righteousness." Don Creek vein popped out of his forehead in sheer anger. "Gin," he screamed out to his commander, "do your duty and send that cook to hell. And make sure you bring me a fish while you're at it. As for this Keller whelp," he pointed out at Luffy, "I'll kill him myself." "The Don Creek's really mad," the pirate crew said. "Understood, Don Creek." Gin stared at Sanji as Sanji took another puff of his smoke. And Gin replied, "Sorry, Sanji, but you can't beat me." "We'll see about that." He took another puff of his smoke. "You small fry scoundrel!" Don Creek stared out at Luffy, holding his cannon in hand. "Now, boy, I'll show you respect. I'll show you the armed might that rules the East Blue, and you'll see how insignificant your little power is." "Okay, dude, you can try it. I'll just send you flying." "Oh, by the way, dude, I'm coming across, so say your prayers." "Why don't you fly over again?" "Oh, dude, you don't really know what I'm about to do. I'm gonna get righteous." Meanwhile, Gin started charging at Sanji. "Here I come," as he twirled his tonfas right at the chef, and he took another puff of his cigarette. "Get him, Gin!" the pirate crew screamed out. He slammed Gin slammed his tonfa right into the ground. It caught Sanji off guard. Gin screamed out with a swing, "Rah!" And Sanji jumped into the air. "Darn!" As he swung his foot right at Gin and knocked him over. "They call me the Demon Man." And before he knew it, Sanji got pinned down on the ground, and Gin sat nice and quietly. "I can't show you any mercy now. Farewell." He pressed the tonfa into Sanji's neck, ready to crush the larynx. To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. Man, that was really cool. I really, really liked that. Oh my gosh, that was actually pretty cool. Very good fight sequences here. The backstory, Sanji's backstory was also pretty good. Um, Very consistent. I like to compare to the live action since I saw the live action season one. It still did a great job. And let me tell you something. Um, yeah, that one panel showing Zaf bashing his leg in, that could have been left out because that was a good twist in the live action because I didn't know that that's what Zaf did, and that would have been perfectly consistent. If Oda hadn't put that panel in there, and just let that be the surprise reveal. But overall, yeah, it was a nice near one for one shot uh, reproduction of of this whole entire sequence. I mean, they played it out very nicely. They did a good job. They did a good job, and I like that with the live action, and this still holds up pretty well overall. I mean, we're talking what 20 years now. It's been just a well, no, this was like 1990, the 90s, and this whole entire sequence held up very well. It translated very well into the live action, and I really like how the revelation played out. It was very good. It was very good. I do find it very dumb that at the end that one boat that came back for them was like, I heard someone screaming out. It's like, what? You could have said something, even if you couldn't go back because of the raging storm. You could have waited the storm out and then go back, but they wait until the 85th day. It's like, really? 85 days you've known that and you didn't say anything? It's so dumb. But overall, chapter 58 was pretty good. It really these flashbacks with One Piece is just really great, man. Like they're so solid. They're very solid, and I like that. Like seeing Sanji stand up after all of that, taking all that hitting and made that declaration was pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's just awesome, man. This is some solid piece of writing. And then, of course, in the subsequent chapters, now we're dealing with the fights. Once again, fights dragging out. We had all the flames. Sanji taking on Pearl once more for another round. But yeah, Sanji, this was a good drawing here. I like this drawing. Really shows the impact of the hit. Man, it was like, "Oosh, bash." You know what I'm saying? Like another well done piece of art there. It's pretty cool. But overall, Sanji makes this declaration that he's not gonna let them take the ship because of his debt, what he felt was a debt to Zaf, and Zaf is like, debt? What? But now, now at this point, Luffy jumped in and is like, he's tired of it, and he goes and he destroys the deck completely with his Gum battle axe, which was pretty cool. He basically, I guess he evened out the playing field, but it's kind of, and he got rid of the fire on top of that. But yeah, he just basically evened out the playing field, I guess, in a sense, and just made it clear that he was going to destroy the ship. Like, what a decision to make. He's like, screw this. You don't get a ship, and you don't get a ship. He's like, my man is like tired of this. He's like, enough of this, man. You know what? Nobody gets a ship. Nobody gets a ship, and that's hilarious. What a decision to make. He just went full Solomon. I'll just split it in half. You take the other half, I'll take the other half. Nah, he like but I do find it if there's one thing that is a bit on the irksome side is the fact that Don Krieg is just not blowing everyone away. He's got the freaking weapons to do it at this point. Um, you know, But Shonen's got a Shonen. Shonen's got a Shonen. We gotta do our one-on-one. I like this. I like this panel here. Just to point out where these two, Sanji and Luffy, are gripping each other. I think that's pretty cool, and I think that's pretty good because it's showing that Luffy doesn't get the camaraderie. He gets the arguments. He always gets the arguments, and I like that. You know what I'm saying? It just shows that the power of Nakama is not perfect, and I really like this panel. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, but nevertheless, even Gin was just tired of the whole thing. Just destroys Pearl's armor. I'm not sure, honestly, why this direction went this way, but honestly, given the time constraints of the live action, again, to make that comparison, I totally understand why a lot of these things had to be cut off because it's shonen. Shonen drags out these fights and it loves to drag these fights out. Now Gin decided to jump into the whole thing and put Gin out of Pearl out of commission. Fair enough. It's like it's fair enough because Pearl should have already had won this fight, given the way he was going at it. And Gin is like, screw this, man. You ain't doing your job. Battle commander of the Pirate Armada. I mean, even Krieg is like, what's going on here? But you know what? I get where Gin's coming from. It's like, you know what? You ain't winning. I'm gonna stop and put an end to this myself, like a pirate should do, like a pirate captain should do. But yeah, again, at this point, as I pointed out, Don Krieg should have already been blowing everyone away at this point. Like he's just standing there. He should have already been have destroyed these guys, but like I said, Shonen's got a Shonen, and it's cool. It's cool because we are getting some good fights. That's the one thing that's great about that I'm really liking about the One Piece. The fights are pretty inventive and pretty solid. It's not even though it is dragging along a bit, it's not dragging along to boredom. Like I'm not bored. There's something creative and inventive coming out of some of these matchups, and that's good. You know what I'm saying? Like, we now see that Don Krieg loves to lie and trick and trick people into what his attack is. And that's very good, quite honestly, for storytelling. It's not predictable. The fights are not predictable. You know what I'm saying? And it's not predictable, but most importantly, it shows that villains are not that dumb. You know what I'm saying? With the telegraphing their attacks and everything. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I'm sending you poison gas. And Luffy was dumb enough to fall for it. And it turned out to be a bunch of shurikens. And Luffy got hurt for that one, which is great because the key thing that we need more than anything else is not just only Luffy's drawback that he sinks in the ocean. He can't swim because of the gum fruit, but that he can take battle damage, and this battle damage is so important. And I'm glad that this was also done here. That blades can cut him. You know what I'm saying? Even though concussion, like this cannonball here, that's a concussion kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a punch, so he can deflect the punch, but he cannot deflect sword sharpness. He's very weak to sharpness, and that's pretty good. And I'm glad that Oda made sure that was clear. But Luffy is just too hardcore. Replace this with "Nah, I win." Replace right here, this panel here, where he's saying, "Me, you don't have what it takes." Replace that with "Nah, I win." That's a "Nah, I win" image if I haven't seen one. Luffy's just pretty cool. He's so chill about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna come over to you," which is good. Initiatives are good. So overall, very good set of chapters. Very enjoyable, really fun. Characters just can't get any more better. It can't get any more better than this. So, oh my gosh, that was chapter 60. Well, 40 away from 100, from the big 100. So, yeah, there we go. So, Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, follow. You know you want to. Head on over to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. Grab yourself a copy of The Impossible Man, a strange fantasy novel written by me. You'll find it in the link description below, alongside other links to my other merch for things like theme songs, stickers, shirts, t-shirts. I know you all love t-shirts. And if you're interested in, to participate, you can shoot on over to patreon.com if you like. And if you want to join in on the fun of this illustrious journey for as long as it can go. And if you want to see these Let's Reads in the raw, you can head on over to either Twitch and or Kick to catch my live multi streams every Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until the next set of chapters, I thank you all for joining me, and I wish you all a good night, a buenas noches, and oisumi nasai.